So many of the parents from this summer have already contacted me and asked what they could do to support Governor School. And I want to introduce to you now the president of the North Carolina Governor School Alumni Association, who's with us. His name is Jim Hart. Jim?
I went to Governor's School in 1979, which was, seems like a very, very long time ago when you think about it in terms of numbers. But every time I walk onto a Governor's School campus, I am immediately thrown back to that summer and all of the great things that happened to me then, and everything that I learned and experienced, and how it impacted everything that's happened to me since then. But today, I'm sort of wearing my other hat. As a member, as president of the Alumni Association, I'm also on the board of the Governor's School Foundation. The Governor's School Alumni Association, for its 24-year history now, has worked to keep the alumni engaged, to keep them connected to one another, which was a lot harder in the years before social media. Facebook has been a very good friend of ours. And we have been able to provide a little bit of funding for each campus every summer. This summer we provided $5,000 to each campus, which they use to rent buses to take the kids fun places, or to, it's sort of activities fun. It makes Governor's School more fun for the children. The foundation has also been able to donate to each campus. It's a little bit of money for additional speakers, a consultant, some sheet music, something that maybe couldn't be paid for out of the budget. So for the past 20 years, we've been asked to give to the school $15,000, $20,000 a year. And in any normal year, I would be here asking your children to sign up for the Alumni Association. But as you know, this is not a normal year. Anyone who's been watching the news or reading the newspaper knows that the legislature has cut the budget for Governor's School to zero. So there will be no public funding for Governor's School next year. That is why we in the Alumni Association, working in hand with the foundation, are doing our level best to make sure that Governor's School continues for 2012 and into the future. We were given a challenge 9 days ago by Bill Harrison, who is the chair of the State Board of Education. Governor's School, I mean, we see it starting in June and ending in July, but it actually runs all year long. Starting next month, they'll be sending out nomination packets for next year's students, and then they'll be arranging, checking transcripts and arranging auditions and such, and all that has to go on through the year. But the Department of Public Instruction has been told they can't spend any state money on that. So we were given a challenge by Bill Harrison to raise $100,000 by the end of this month. We got that challenge 9 days ago. And as of last night, we had $96,000. And this morning, we have 100,000. But that's just our first hurdle. The 100,000 means that they can send out packets and get students in and have students sign up and do auditions. It does not pay for Governor's School. Governor's School costs about $1.3 million. The government has been paying about $850,000 of that, and the rest of it has come from the tuition that all of you were asked to pay. Just sort of an informal survey, just from my knowledge. We know that in a lot of cases, that $500 was paid by your school system or some other organization. How many of you received that $500 through some other means? How many of you got it paid by someone else? It's about a third. That's about what I expected. For those of you who actually had to pay it out of pocket, I apologize. I am sorry. I am sorry that we in the Alumni Association and the Foundation couldn't pull together enough money to pay it this year. I'm sorry that we could not lobby the government well enough that they didn't charge that tuition, because I and Michael and everybody who works here believes that Governor's School should be free. as it was for the first 47 years of its existence. Because we do not believe that any student should have to give up on this program because of their financial situation. We believe that Governor School should be open to everyone who qualifies, everyone who wants to come. So, what we will be doing in the foundation now is attempting to raise enough money that the Department of Public Instruction does not have to charge tuition next year. We would like to get it down at least to the point that they don't have to charge any more than they charged this year. We'd really like to get it down to zero. We have just begun. $100,000 that we raised mainly through contacts on Facebook and people with whom we have email addresses. We have only begun to speak to parents, to speak to alumni, to send out information to potential donors. And over at the foundation, we've only begun to speak to corporations, to banks, to major employers in the area, to ask them to also help with donors. So today, like I said, I would normally be asking students to sign up for the Alumni Association. Today, we're actually giving away Alumni Association membership for free to anyone who makes a donation to the foundation. It's a gift, really, trust me. So I will be outside showing my dedication to the school by standing outside in the 100-degree heat, hopefully in the shade of a tree somewhere, to allow you to come and make a donation, to pay it forward. That's what we always talk about. We always talk about paying it forward because the money we receive from this year's students for years have paid for the fun stuff that next year's students receive. So I will be outside. Please drop by. If you cannot make a donation today, we have information you can take home and make it when you get there. And please help us pay it forward, not just the little bit that we've been giving for these years. Help us save Governor School. Help us make it possible that we can do this next year. Thank you.
So it is an unusual year, and I'll just reiterate a little bit of what Jim had to say. Of course, we at Governor School very much hope to see the program's funding both restored and eventually increased. And that really, the proper avenue for that is through the state. The state is recognizing in this program its best and its brightest students, and it needs to do that on its own dime through us as taxpayers collectively. That's not going to happen, it seems, for next year. And so we're faced with the situation of trying to bridge that gap for maybe a year or two until the state will step back in. The return on the investment is, as you all now know, tremendous. In the best of all worlds, any level of tuition would be lifted in order to not discourage any worthy student from applying and attending. The success of the Governor School Foundation in raising funds so far is, I have to say, incredibly encouraging. It attests to the strength of alumni support for the program and what they've received from it. But the ability of Governor School to stay true to its mission, to serve all of North Carolina's students, regardless of their family's means, will depend on the outcome of the fundraising campaign, I think probably in the next 2 to 3 months. Because by the end of that period, the state will need to decide whether it can and at what level it can make a contract with our host institutions. So it would be nice to think we have a whole year to work on this campaign, but in reality it's probably more like 2 to 3 months. Beyond financial support, I urge all of you to write to your legislators, to write to Governor Perdue and to Bill Harrison, who's the chair of the State Board of Education. Bill Harrison actually visited this campus last Monday, and I think it was very clear that he, and through him, we learned the members of the State Board of Education are very supportive of this program. They want to find a way to say yes to us and to the Governor School Foundation and Alumni Association when we say that we will find a way to make it happen for next year. They want to say yes, but their hands are somewhat tied by the fact, as I said, that if they're going to make contracts, they have to know that the money is there. So please write to him, please write to June Atkinson, the Superintendent of Public Instruction in the state, and let them know why you found the program so valuable, why your students found it so valuable.